Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be doing my June TBR. This should be a pretty quick video because I have a very concise list of books that I want to read for June, and hopefully it won't take me too long to get through them. I'm going to start off with the books that I don't have physically in my possession, and then the ones that I do have physically, and talk a little bit about them. So the very first book that I'm going to get to in June is actually one that I've already started, but I started it just yesterday, and I know it's going to carry me through June, and that is my audiobook selection for the month. So the audiobook that I'm going to be reading is Orientalism by Edward Said. And this is a book, so essentially what I've been trying to do with my audiobooks is get through my backlog of nonfiction that I've been really interested in reading, and I'm just kind of picking through them. So I'm just looking either at Goodreads or at my book journal at the books that I have noted that I wanted to pick up at one point or another, and then plugging them in to read or to listen to on audio. So Orientalism is a book that I've had on my list for a really long time. I feel like from a university course, like I remember someone mentioning it and I've always wanted to read it. And so this seems like a good time to get to that. It is very dense. So I've listened to I think there's a first introduction and then a second introduction. I've listened to one of two introductions, I think, or one of two forewords, and that is all so far. But it is very dense. There's a lot of academic language. There's a lot of long, sprawling sentences. So I think it is going to take, number one, a lot of concentration, and number two, a lot of time, because it's going to be something that I can't binge through, or I don't want to binge through. I'm not going to be listening to this for 4 hours straight or anything. Not going to be, walking around listening to this for half an afternoon. I think it's really going to be something that I'm going to take piece by piece and hopefully be able to reflect and think about it as I go through. So I fully expect my audiobook to take me all the way through June, maybe even past. I'm not sure. I think it's around a 17-hour audiobook. So if I'm not listening to it in huge chunks, then it may take either the month or even a little bit more. But I am looking forward to it. The introduction, even, just that brief foreword was very interesting, very thought-provoking. So I'm looking forward to continuing on and getting to listen to the rest of that. The other two books that I don't have in my physical possession right now are going to be ebooks that I'm reading this month. So for anybody who saw that I posted about finally having finished the Live Ship Traders trilogy, the Live Ship trilogy by Robin Hobb, I am immediately going into Tawny Man. I am not allowing myself to make the same mistakes that I have made with Realm of the Elderlings thus far. And so I finished Live Ship a couple days ago, and I will be starting Tawny Man as soon as I finish the book that I am currently reading. So I have two ongoing books that I'm really hoping to finish before the end of May so that I can include them in my May wrap up and feel like I don't have things just left open. But as soon as I finish those, then I'm going to begin Tawny Man. So I will be reading the first book, which I think is Fool's Errand. I think. Anyway, I'll pop the picture up. But I know I already purchased it, and they do this really clever thing for audiobooks. So the first book in the series was like $2.99 for Kindle, and then the rest of them are obviously like $13.99 or whatever. But when I finished Live Ship and I immediately went to Google the next one, I was gonna put a hold on it for the library, and then I saw that it was only $2.99 on Kindle, so I just bought it, and I'm super, super excited to start that. A little bit worried, I'm not gonna lie. I think everything that I have seen about Tawny Man is that it's emotionally damaging. So I think actually Bookborn had a review up of the trilogy when I logged on to YouTube, like when I checked YouTube for the first time this morning, and it just said emotional damage. It's like the thumbnail. So I'm fully expecting it to hurt. I may end up doing reading vlogs for Tawny Man as opposed to trying to record a video immediately afterward, because I recorded my video just, 12 hours afterward with Live Ship, which was nice, and it was still fun, and I think it was a fun discussion video, and I was happy that I got to talk about it. But then as I was reading through comments and as I was thinking, I thought, there were so many things that happened in the first half, because of the first half of a 900-page book, like the first 450 pages, that I didn't really comment on because I was swept up in everything that came together at the end. And I'm sure Robin Hobb's book endings have always seemed to pack a bit of a punch. Like if I think back to the ending of Assassin's Apprentice or the ending of Assassin's Quest, not Assassin's Quest, what's the second one called? Oh gosh, it's a good thing this is not like a book Jeopardy question because I can't remember the second one, but the second book had a wild ending. So I'm expecting that the endings are going to sweep me up. And so I want to be able to comment on the book as I'm reading through. And so I think I might vlog the experience of reading the Tawny Man trilogy. And enough people have read it that, you know, I can do a spoiler vlog and it'll be fine. But that is my first Kindle or ebook of the month. And my second ebook and third book on this TBR is going to be the book Husband Material by Alexis Hall. So this is just a contemporary romance. This is the third book in a contemporary romance series. And this one actually follows the same character. So with contemporary romance, if you don't read them, what will often happen is that you'll get a romance novel and then the second book in the series will be focused on separate characters. So it'll be like side characters from book one, and then you'll follow them. So it's the same like group of friends. You can hear Andrew rolling his computer chair, I'm sure, but it'll be the same group of friends just following, you know, different people. But with this series, it is the same, they are the same characters. So the first one was called Boyfriend Material, the second one was called Husband Material, and now the third one is called Father Material. And I'm gonna need something light and breezy, something that's easy to read through when I am listening to Orientalism and reading Tawny Man. So I'm definitely gonna need that. So I'm excited. That is just a new release for June. So I'm gonna pick that one up on Kindle too, I'm sure, and take a read through of that, and it'll be a nice break from the intensity of the rest of the TBR. And the next three books are ones that I do have physically. The first one is a holdover, so for anybody, spoiler alert for the wrap up in May. I unfortunately did not get to Men at Arms. I am, as you can see from the bookmark, not very far in. I'm at page 18, so honestly, I'll probably just restart it. So I'll just start again from the beginning. I am determined to read this. It's just that I had a week where I wasn't on call and Ship of Destiny was there, and I thought, I'm gonna read you. It's been so long, it's spur of the moment. I didn't put it on a TBR, there was no pressure. I didn't tell anybody that I was reading it. And so I just picked it up and did it. And so some of the books that I had on my TBR that I wanted to read got pushed to the side. So I'm sorry, Men at Arms. You will hopefully be read in June. So that's my first physical book that I have. And the second one is a reread, actually. So I'm going to attempt to reread The Shadow of the Gods, because for some reason, even though I love John Gwynne, I loved his other series, I read book one of the Bloodsworn Saga and then I didn't continue. And I think that had to do with just stepping away from BookTube. So there was so much of my time on BookTube was wrapped up in the Banished Lands, in John Gwynne's books. I had so much fun discussing them that when I was away from BookTube and I would think about reading this series, the Bloodsworn Saga, it would make me kind of sad, because then I would think about when I used to, you know, hang out with everybody and we all read the books and we all discussed them and it was so much fun, and I felt, you know, lonely and, you know, cut off from the rest of BookTube, which again was just because I was busy. It wasn't any dramatic cutting off of things, but it made me sad. It made me nostalgic. But now I'm feeling nostalgic in a good way, because I'm slowly getting back to not just recording, but trying to find the time to watch videos, to chat with people. Life is busy and I'm trying my best to fit all the things in. So I am getting back to John Gwynne. I'm going to reread book one, because even though I remember the broad strokes of what happens in this book, who the characters are, vaguely, I remember what happened at the end because the end was pretty explosive, but I remember vaguely what everybody is doing. I'd like to know the details, because at least in his previous books, there's been a lot of intricate plotting. There's been a lot of reveals, things that hinge on hints that come earlier in the novels. And so I don't want to miss out on any of that stuff. And I'm going to reread book one and get through that. I had debated making that my audiobook for the month, but I really wanted to get to some nonfiction, and I thought audio was the best way to do that. So I'll just reread this one physically and then hopefully be able to get to the others maybe next month. And then my last book on my physical TBR is Hearts in Atlantis by Stephen King. So I'm going to say maybe 6 Stephen King novels. It might be 8 novels on my Stephen King shelf that I have not read. And so I picked off a random one and thought, you're feeling really accomplished, Sarah. You've managed to read a book that you've been putting off for 4 years. Why don't you keep conquering all of the things that you intended to read? So I'm going to make my way through the rest of my Stephen King shelf, because I told myself I wasn't going to buy any more Stephen King novels until I read the ones that I had on my shelf. So I'm going to read the ones I have on my shelf and then start filling in my collection with some of the classics that I haven't read. Like I haven't read Salem's Lot, for example. What is that? I mean, I'm a huge Stephen King fan. I'm a huge Dark Tower fan. I haven't read Salem's Lot. So I'm I'm going to read the Stephen King books that I have, and then I'm going to start to collect the rest of the Stephen King books that I do not have. But Hearts in Atlantis is the one I'm going to read this month, which is a short story collection, and it might be a novella collection more accurately, but oh, there's no table of contents. What is this? Is it not a short story collection? You're seeing me break down in real time here. Maybe it isn't. Well, oh, it is. Okay. Oh, they're interconnected. 5 interconnected sequential narratives set in the years from 1960 to 1999. Each story deeply rooted in the 60s, each one haunted by the Vietnam War. Okay, all right. That makes more sense now. There's no table of contents, but it is a series of interconnected stories. So looking forward to that. A lot of other Stephen King fans I know really enjoy Hearts in Atlantis. My uncle, actually, who's a big Stephen King fan, this is his favorite, other than The Dark Tower, because he's a big Dark Tower person as well. But this is his favorite by Stephen King, so I'm excited to get to that. This is a very ambitious TBR, especially when you consider that June is a pretty busy month. We've got the end of the school year. Both kids will be finishing up school. It's the end of a lot of activities. So there are end of year recitals. There's our very last swim meet of the year. It's going to be nice weather. My family's going to be coming over. We're going to be hosting barbecues, doing all that kind of stuff. So I feel like this is already a very ambitious TBR. There's a lot of chunky books on here, a lot of thick books. However, I am traveling out of town and going to the bookstore, and I have heard everybody talking about the book, The Poet Empress, whose author I think is Shen Tao, but that may be wrong. I'm going to pop it up anyway. But everybody seems to be loving this book, and I really want to read it. So if I drive to the swim meet with my family and we go to the bookstore and there happens to be a copy there and I'm super excited to read it, I could see one of these other books getting pushed away so that I can join the hype train. So we're going to tentatively put that one on the TBR, but I'm really trying not to stretch myself or stress myself. I'm just trying to give myself some options in case I want to put a little bit of mood reading in there, even though the high of finishing Live Ship has made me feel like I can accomplish so many things and read all my unread books on my TBR. So I'm also going to try to capitalize on that feeling. But that's it. That is my June TBR. Please let me know if you have read or want to read any of these books, and I will see you with another video soon. Bye.